I love this guy. I love everything about him. I love his mind. I love his coaching. I love just his personality and his friendship. Most of all, because we sit next to each other on the first round of the NFL draft on NFL Network. He is the head coach of Stanford football, David Shaw, back here on the show. How are you, Coach?
I'm doing great, Rich. Good to talk to you.
What number year is this for you? Or is this your 10th time doing this with us? Are you at number 10 yet? Where are you?
At least. It has to be somewhere around there.
This is, well, I keep track. It's my 17th year doing the NFL draft on NFL Network. Right, Chris? Is that what it is?
Year 17, Rich.
Yeah,
17.
I've been saying that once a day, David, just to get myself psyched up. You know what I'm saying?
3-4 times.
There is an I in Rich Eisen, so.
You mean Cleveland doesn't get you psyched up enough? I mean,
that does.
Cleveland.
Yes, it does. Well, let's just hope they might not remember some of your evaluation of Baker Mayfield as a first overall pick. That may. But
I was kind.
No,
kind.
you are. No, but that's the best part about you. You dovetail our philosophy of giving an evaluation that there's always positives. Might be some negatives. There might be a problem with the fit. You don't say it's an impossibility that somebody can't succeed. So it's a perfect fit for you and our coverage. So let's get into your evaluation of the quarterbacks, David Shaw, that's available in this year's NFL draft. If you don't mind, what do you got for me on your board?
Where do you want to start?
Let's start with, I guess, Trevor Lawrence. Is he number one on your board, or you're a Zach Wilson guy, or where are you on that, David Shaw?
I've talked to Daniel a bunch about this, and I've watched the film over and over again, and those two guys are so intriguing. I do think there's kind of a line after those two guys. Trevor, just the ceiling is off the charts. It's not just athleticism. The guy is fast. He's tall. He's got a strong arm. He's an accurate passer. And as a coach, I always think about the offensive line, and wherever this guy goes, Jacksonville, they're going to love him, right? This guy doesn't just run. This guy tries to run people over. He's tough. He's a fighter. This is the franchise guy, and I'm excited about him. When you put on Zach Wilson, maybe you see some things that you like maybe a little bit better than Trevor. I mean, the film as in its totality might be a little bit better, but the size and speed and athleticism and arm strength and the accuracy of Trevor Lawrence makes him the guy.
So give me the parts, because you went a little bit higher register, which we notice here on the Rich Eisen Show, that sometimes you got to go there to couch your comments a little bit, because that is something that we don't hear a lot of, that Zach Wilson could be better at this than Trevor Lawrence. What is Zach Wilson better at that you think than Trevor Lawrence as a prospect entering the draft?
There's one thing that I absolutely love about watching quarterbacks, and I think it's a direct transition from college to the NFL, and that is the combination of quick footwork and quick release and accuracy. And that's what Zach Wilson has. He is quick, he is explosive, he is accurate. That ability to see something open and get the ball out of your hands really quickly, because we all know the windows in the NFL, they open, but they close very, very quickly. This guy's got the ability to see number one and get to number two, and as soon as he sees number two, that ball starts to come out fast. And I think it's quicker than anybody else in the draft this year. And I get excited when I see that. But to me, it's not enough to overtake the phenom at Clemson.
So let me ask you this, David Shaw. Two red flags, if you will, or flags that could be somewhat tinted red for Zach Wilson, are, one, the level of competition that he has faced coming out of BYU, and two, that he was not a core captain. What do you say about both of those things that get thrown in the direction of Zach Wilson during these evaluation times?
I think all of those things, I call them accents. Right? You always start with the film, you watch the film, and then you collect all the accents.
Okay.
All the stories that you hear, the people that you talk to. I think pro day's an accent. I think the combine's an accent. Interviews are the accents. And then after you get all those accents, then you go back and watch the film again before the draft to see, okay, how do I combine all of these things together to give me an evaluation? And he's got a live arm. He's got live legs. It reminds you a little bit of Baker coming out, but for me, I think he was a little bit better taking care of the ball than Baker. He threw the ball in very safe places. I thought Baker took a lot of chances, and I think his first 2 years in the NFL kind of showed that. And this past year, the interceptions go down, and guess what? They get to the playoffs. And this guy, I think he takes care of the ball really well. There's a little bit of a frenetic pace to him, too, that may need to calm down a little bit. I watched the pro day, and it was outstanding. And about 5 of those throws, you hope that he never has to make those throws in an NFL game.
Right.
Because they're extremely dangerous, and coaches get worried about their jobs when you're making a bunch of those throws. But the fact that he's got the ability to make them, and he's got a history of taking care of the football, makes you feel good about him.
So what about those 2 specific accents I put on the table about the level of competition is something that makes an evaluation to the next step difficult, and that he was not a core captain for BYU? That might be an issue for somebody that's you're choosing number 2 overall as the Jets for a leader of a franchise.
A lot of times you don't know the politics and history of why someone is or isn't chosen a captain. Sometimes it's not for anything that they did other than maybe him being a little bit young and a little young and energetic, to say it nicely, when he was young at BYU. If you can find those stories, if there is something that you find, then maybe you have pause. But for who he's been, which you can never forget either about college kids, I'm with these guys all the time. There's a maturity that happens usually somewhere between sophomore and senior year, sometimes sophomore and junior year, where their guys are more composed, they're more mature, and I think that's what's really happened. You watch the guy; he's very composed, he's very confident. The guys like playing with him. It's not like he's an outlier, and we've kind of seen some of those before. Not to bring up any names where that guy's a great player, but has no friends on the team. That's not the case here. I think the Jets fans are going to be excited about him. I'm not saying he's Broadway Joe. But at the same time, he's going to bring some juice and energy to that franchise.
David Shaw, Stanford University head football coach, getting set to hang with me and Charles Davis, our second-hour guest, Daniel Jeremiah, and the cast of thousands on NFL Network's draft coverage later on this month right here on the Rich Eisen Show. So, again, another reason why you're so terrific for an NFL draft is you've spent many years in the NFL, and so also in rooms, evaluation rooms, draft rooms, and whatnot. Is it possible the 49ers made that big of a jump from 12 to 3, spending that much draft capital to go from 12 to 3 for a quarterback that they still are evaluating and grinding tape on, that they did not know the exact name of the quarterback that's not named Wilson or Lawrence, that they're willing to spend all that to do?
And I have no knowledge of how they got there or why they got there.
Right.
But you can kind of look at it from the outside and saying, hey, we've got a quarterback that we really like who has not completed a season in 2 years. There are multiple first-round draft pick quarterbacks in this draft, and they're probably going to go early. So, hey, maybe let's just get up high so we make sure we get one. We need to get one, and now let's decide which one. I know there's, people saying all kinds of things. They could take a tight end, they could take a tackle, whomever. They're probably going to take one of those quarterbacks. And it's not like they're desperate, like they have to have a quarterback. If Jimmy G stays healthy, this is still have a really good chance to be a playoff team. It's now, can we ensure ourselves against Jimmy's health history and get the future in this draft? So I understand the process of getting there and realizing there are potential 5 first-round draft pick quarterbacks, and none of them might get out of the top 10. So you have to get up there if you want to get one. So
the general sense of things, too, Coach Shaw, is that Mac Jones is going to be the choice because he's the one that fits the Shanahan system the best. What do you say about that axiom that we're hearing pretty much every day now? What do you think of that?
This is like for quarterbacks, especially more than any other position, this is always the argument that comes up so often where – are you choosing the quarterback that best fits you, or are you just choosing the best prospect? And sometimes one is better, sometimes the other is better. And I can't tell you which one is which at times, but for all of us that have seen Kyle Shanahan, he's got a great offensive mind. Many have called him one of the best in the league, which I think he is. And if he and John Lynch feel like this is the best fit, then that's the guy with no hesitation, right? You've heard maybe they go for Trey Lance, since we're talking about a guy that maybe is going to sit for a year and has a ridiculously high ceiling. When you talk about level of competition and jumping a couple of rungs to get up to the NFL level. We think this guy's got the ability. Maybe that's a good one. Maybe it's Justin Fields, right? The play action game, the boot game, who knows? That guy also takes care of the ball, doesn't turn the ball over. So, or it could be Mac Jones, who some people have labeled a system quarterback. Hey, the guy throws the ball accurately. That's what you need. He's a quick decision maker. He throws the ball accurately. He put guys around him, and it's proven now that he can make some plays.
So knowing Shanahan's system, which one fits, and is that the one that you have evaluated the highest out of those group of 3 quarterbacks, David Shaw?
Yeah, I honestly have balanced back and forth between Justin Fields and Mac Jones for those 2 reasons. I can see Mac Jones because I can picture the offense at Alabama and just put him in San Francisco and say he's run a lot of the same concepts. He's going to walk in knowing what to do. He's going to have a learning curve like anybody else making this big jump, but he's not going to have to make it, in 6 months. He's going to have to make it hopefully in 18 months or longer. And I can see that easily. I don't know how I would pull the trigger because it's not on me right now. But I could also be swayed by Justin Fields because of that athleticism, because of that 4.4. If he does get in trouble, he can take off and run. He also has a strong arm. He also takes care of the football. So you can make an argument to take the guy that you can picture right now fits perfectly, or the guy that gives you that added dimension as a runner, which is so vital right now in the NFL.
What is your evaluation, Coach David Shaw, of Justin Fields? There was a huge to-do last week when Dan Orlovsky of ESPN put it out there that his work ethic has been questioned. What is your evaluation on all of that about Justin Fields, David Shaw?
Well, I don't know Dan. That never works. That never goes over well for somebody who's not in the building, who maybe talks to one person that says something. Who knows? I would never cross that threshold because it's something I didn't see myself. As an NFL evaluator, to really look at the skill set, the potential detriments that I see on film or what other guys have seen on film also is for what I talked about. Zach Wilson does extremely well seeing and getting out. Justin every once in a while has a tendency to be flat-footed, and it's not the same level of anticipation, which, yes, you can improve on. It's not something that he'll never get, but that quick decision-making, that quick release, sometimes you don't see that. You see it periodically, you just don't see it as often. As far as work ethic, hey, the guy's a great player. He's a great athlete. He's a leader. He's got toughness. He's got all those things that you're looking for. And to say that he's been that successful over 2 years at Ohio State and doesn't work hard, I'd have a tough time believing that.
David Shaw, Stanford University, my colleague for the first night of the NFL Draft on NFL Network, right here on the Rich Eisen Show. I've asked many evaluators, all right, we've named the 5, right? Lance and Fields and Jones and Wilson and Lawrence. Give me somebody outside of that 5 that's got some ability, that can make some hay, certainly in the draft, and then be that person that's outside of the radar screen. And the name that comes back en masse is Davis Mills, Coach Shaw. I'll give you the floor on the Stanford quarterback. What about him?
Yes, and for me, I think he's in the mix with these 5. When you watch the film and you put on what he does well, you're going to see size, you're going to see athleticism, you're going to see arm strength, you're going to see accuracy, you're going to see a guy that can handle protections, he can handle the running game, you see him changing plays. All the guys that have talked to him have been pleasantly surprised, to say it nicely, about his football acumen. The guy knows the game and understands it. So for me, once again, like I said earlier, you go back to the film. What the film tells me, this is an NFL-ready quarterback that, in my opinion, rivals, especially those next 3 after the top 2 guys. He's right in the mix, in my opinion, when you watch the film. He's gone from sleeper to kind of not sleeper to, oh my gosh, should we get up or should we move up? Should we trade back? Should we do something to make sure that we get this guy? Because he might be an NFL starter. And I believe the more film you watch, the more you get convinced that this guy not only can play, but he's going to walk into the NFL ready to play.
So do you think, like, end of first round? I know, look, people might accuse you of saying you're trying to push your guy up into the first round, but, the Bears are sitting there. They took a big YOLO swing at Russell Wilson and did not connect. We all know there's New England sitting right there in the middle of the first round. We're already hearing that they could trade up for Fields if he drops, or even all the way up to Atlanta if free agency Belichick shows up on draft night. Like what would be a good fit, do you think, for Mills on draft night?
Yeah, that's the question. I've heard everything from late 1 to early 2. And here's what I say: if Davis Mills has a full 12 games and not the 6 that we played this year, he played, actually, I still say he played 4.5 because of a erroneous COVID test. If he has a full 12 games, I think we're talking about him in the mix with that 5, top 15. I think if he came back for another year, then I think he's probably the best quarterback in America. Now you're talking about a top 5, top 10 pick. So now, if you do project him the way that most guys I've talked to say, okay, if this guy is going to be the number 1 pick next year, and if he had a full 12 games this year, he's a top 15 pick. Why not take him in that late first round, early second round, knowing that this could be my guy for the next decade? So, yeah, right around you're talking about that late first round, it's more than worth it to take a guy who's, once again, the film evaluation, not the hype, not the stats, the film evaluation shows all the things you're looking for. And I usually start with a little checklist of things I'm looking for at each position. And, you actually check off everything that you're looking for when you watch this guy play.
And so last one for you. This is the question we might even be asking in our pre-draft show Thursday night. We may still be wondering the answer to the lone remaining, from what it seems, assuming Mac Jones is a 49er, question as to what the Falcons are going to do with Matt Ryan having 2 more years, very expensive years, potentially unseverable 2 expensive years left on his contract. Also, Kyle Pitts sitting out there at 4, or Lance or Fields sitting out there at 4, or somebody knocking on their door to go and get one of those quarterbacks. What would you, David Shaw, counsel the Falcons to do at 4th overall right now?
So I call myself an NFL evaluator right now, but I'm also a football coach.
Yep.
So for me, whenever anybody says developmental and first round, I start to cringe, right? Because that means usually somebody else is going to end up coaching this guy. So for me, I'm looking at the top tight end prospect to come out in a while. I don't know if I could pass up that guy to have that quarterback and those 2 receivers for at least a year, and that tight end. That, to me, it would be too hard for me to pass it up. Now, the bigger offices in the building may tell me to pass it up.
Right.
But for me, I'm like, I can't think about year 2, year 3. I'm thinking about what we're doing right now. Give me that tight end and let's go play.
You love Kyle Pitts, huh?
It's the phrase mismatch nightmare gets overused. This guy is a mismatch nightmare. He can play receiver. He can play tight end. He blocks well enough, right? You don't have to be a dominating blocker. He blocks well enough. But when this guy runs, there are a couple of linebackers that could probably run with him in the NFL, and there are no safeties that have the size to battle this guy, especially down in the red zone area. This guy is all the good tight ends that we've seen over the last decade kind of rolled into one.
No kidding.
I'd have a tough time passing.
Are you saying he's compless? Is that what you're saying, David Shaw? There's no comp for him on Kyle Pitts?
No, nobody likes my comp that I say. I say Jimmy Graham. Because Jimmy Graham dominated the NFL for about 4 years because he was too long, too fast, too explosive, and he played with Drew Brees. Now, you give Matt Ryan this guy's going to average, I hate to put things on it, but this guy's going to average 15, 17, 18 yards a catch. Who's going to run with this guy on the scene with Julio outside?
And Ridley. Don't forget Ridley too, right?
And Ridley could have a career year, right? Because every defense coordinator is going to say, okay, take care of Julio and the freak tight end, and our third corner, you get to go cover Ridley.
No
right?
wonder
Ridley might kill it.
No wonder the Dallas Cowboys are if I'm Jerry Jones, I'm thinking, do I tell Steven and everyone in the room, or let's get them all on the same page to get up from 10 and stick him with Dak, Zeke, Gallup, CeeDee Lamb, and Amari Cooper, and say Dan Quinn fix the defense, and then we'll draft otherwise to fix the defense in this draft and go to work? I mean, why wouldn't they do something like that, right?
Yeah, usually I'm one of those guys that tempers other people's enthusiasm about a prospect, but this guy, probably more than anybody in the draft, is going to change the outlook of your offense. He's going to change the outlook of your offense. He's going to make life easier for the receivers. If he does nothing else but release and run straight down the middle of the field, this guy can change what you do on the offense.
I will see you in Ohio, sir, and on some Zooms beforehand to get ready for it. I truly cherish the times that we get to sit next to each other. I look forward to seeing you.
See you soon, Rich.
Right back at you. That's Coach David Shaw of Stanford, part of NFL Network's draft coverage. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.